the trouble is, if you begin to write with the expectation someone is going to read this,
then you add it.
whether it's my great-grandchildren who aren't born yet,
Right.
Then we're going to write for them, and we're not as candid and as forthright as we
And that's
need
what
to
my
be.
blog is. I write it, like you said, at 2 and 3 in the morning, and sometimes I write 3 or 4 different blogs, and I put pictures with all of them and music and stuff, and I do that to honor her, but then I go back and I edit them later to make sure they're right, my journaling and effort.
Well, I think that there's a difference between blogging and journaling,
A lot.
and I think you have a good sense of that.
Along what you were saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a personal journal that the cover says destroy. And having a journal that you do keep inspirational or uplifting or challenges to things that you want your posterity to know about.
Yes, because you're not going to go over there, well, I pictured today him hanging himself. I don't know how many times you would write that in a journal, you know.
As many as you need to.
You know, but it's like I pictured I pictured, but I wouldn't necessarily say seeing him hanging or, you know, whatever.
I wrote in detail what
I
my
read-
husband's body looked like, everything, because I searched for him for 4 days. And when they found him, he was charcoal black, and I could not believe that that was my husband. But I wrote it over and over and over in order to live with it. Because like this one lady was saying, the guilt, because I had something to do with him dying, I know this. And there's no one in the world who's going to tell me I didn't. I know this, and I had to learn to live with that along with seeing what I saw.
Well,
So
then you
the
might have a
journaling-
journal that says,
Well, no,
this is a little gory for most, you know.
No,
or
I don't
something.
keep it around. I did what he suggested.
But
I
whatever-
wrote and I got
whatever
rid of
it is
it, and
to
I wrote
you.
and I got rid of it, and I did it over and over until I was able to just live with it, because what happened has happened. But it took time. It took time, and I did what he suggested, and because he's been here before, is right, and I would burn it, or I'd tear it up, or I'd go throw it somewhere, or tie it onto a balloon and send it in the sky, anything, until it finally settled in the mind that this is what happened, this is what you saw.
But you did destroy it.
Oh, yeah.
Why, you felt it would harm somebody?
No, I was trying to do something of what he said, is to letting go, releasing it.
Let me pass out some suggestions for you to do your journaling with tonight. I have some paper, blank paper, and there's pencils up here. Some have erasers, some don't. And the suggestions on here are that. They're suggestions, they're a starting point, they're ideas. You can write about anything you want to write about. No one is going to be asked to read what they've written. We're not going to do that. I will ask for volunteers when we finish to talk about the experience of writing, but not what you wrote. So go ahead and write whatever you want to write. These are just ideas to get you started in this kind of setting.
I didn't journalize since my daughter's death, except during her birthday, her very first birthday after she passed away. I did journalize. I did journalize my feelings on her birthday. I journalized the things that were most important to me, and then I put them up in a balloon and I sent it away in the sky.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. But I also learned that having a scrapbook of pictures of her that was so physical, it helped because it made me think of the happy times, not the sad times, but the happy times of her life. And that also helped. So
Those are good things you've done.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing this.
When my nephew died, I wrote him a letter, and I haven't completed the letter, but could that be considered journaling?
Yes. Yes. As you're writing for the next 20 minutes, could we keep quiet so that you can honor the people who are writing? So when you finish, step outside until we're all ready to get going again, so that the people who haven't finished can concentrate and focus and do the writing they need to do. Moving to the next phase, which is on a voluntary basis. If anyone wants to share about their experience of doing the writing, not share what you wrote, because that's private, but share about the experience of writing. to hear from you.
I've never journaled before, and I found, I was just writing down whatever popped in my head, and then I thought, well, I can't say that. I just kind of said that earlier, but I allowed myself to just ramble on and just write down the thoughts I had, and I thought it was great. And I have another friend whose husband died by suicide, and the loneliest thing she feels at night is not being able to share her day with anybody. So I took a copy of all this, and hopefully she'll start writing down, perhaps, what she did during the day.
Yes. That's a great technique for getting started in journal writing in any moment that you want to do it, is what is it that happened today that I most want to remember? Was it something positive and wonderful, or was it something not so nice? But what is it that happened today that I would want to remember out of everything that occurred? And that's a wonderful way of getting in touch with what is touching you and moving you and helping to shape and form you.
Oh, I have one more thing too. I remember the first meeting I came to here with her, they said, try to find something to smile about. So that's, sometimes when I talk to her, I said, what did you smile about today? So that's something that they could write too is, what did you smile about today? Find one thing.
I lost my my mother and then my father and my husband right, my father died a month before my husband, so I was like lost 3 significant people, so the grief was really deep and many layers, and it's I let go of my parents because they were in their 80s, and I was allowed to share the end of their life with them and say goodbye and take care of them. But of course, that's not the case, with my husband. He said goodbye to me, but I didn't know what he meant when he said goodbye to me. I thought I didn't even know what he was talking about, and I didn't say goodbye to him. So it was like that, not getting to say goodbye. I don't know why that's so important, but it just seems like it is. Like
Of course it is.
It's like see you later, or you don't even have to say goodbye, but you just have to say something, as they're getting ready to leave this world. I mean, it just seems so unfinished, like it doesn't seem real. It just seems like, okay, this is not the way it should be, and I can't accept it. I can, accept it on certain levels because I know it did happen, whatever, blah, 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 but it's like deep inside I'm thinking this can't be, this just is not something that I can really accept. But I guess it just takes enough time passing where you just accept things that are not acceptable, I guess, in order to survive and have a life. You don't have a choice, so you figure out a way to do it. And I think I've tried a lot of things. I'm a painter, so I do art, and then I read, and I've gone to spiritual counselors, and I've done, walking and being close to nature, and just whatever. I just did it all. But I still feel the same, like empty. But it's like I feel stronger now, but still, it's just something we carry. I don't think it's going to be that we're going to wake up one day and just be completely, okay, this is gone now and I'm free. I don't think that's going to happen. Not with me.
Well, be gentle with yourself and give yourself time.
I lost my husband on Easter Sunday. He killed himself. And I saw the signs. He was telling me almost every day that he wanted to do it, and I took him to Kaiser to try to admit him, and they didn't think he was bad off enough a month before that. And so they sent him home, and then he committed suicide a month later. So I have a lot of anger in myself against Kaiser especially. And and there's the fact that, the way he left, anger and causing destruction in my house and everything. And his family won't speak to me, his friends, and I feel like everybody's blaming me.
Well, I'm glad you came.
That's the norm. It really is. It really is. So don't just give it time, and it will get better.
I remember the night before, because she committed suicide. And I think about that. And the last time that I said to her, I love you, because I always have this thing when I talk to any of my family, when I'm on the phone, I always say, I love you, because I want them to know that. And when I went to the hospital, she was laying there brain dead. And her eyes were moving. And I couldn't even speak to her, but I kissed her cheek, I held her hand. I told her I love you. And those eyes kept moving. I didn't know why, because she was brain dead already. But over the years, that has passed. As I journalized, those memories came back to me. But the real memories that I have of her are the good times that we had. So they'll pass for you too. But think about the good times. Those are the important times.
And another thing, you can't even get mad at them because my husband did this right before Christmas, and I have 2 grown children, 2 grandchildren, and he left in this way that I had to handle everything, and then I want to be mad at him, but I can't because I feel like he suffered so much, he's in so much pain, and he tried so hard, he's had so much courage, so I really respect him and love him, but at the same time, I'm pissed off at him. God damn it, you know. We had this conversation about him not having a right because he was talking about it months prior, that his life belonged to everybody that loved him. It didn't belong to him. It belonged to all of us, and that he didn't have a right to do anything for himself. And he said, I know. And I just thought that was the end of the subject, and I just didn't think he would ever do that. But of course I was wrong, you know, and I don't know, it's just hard to accept something like that, you know.
Yes. Did you?
I was just thinking tonight, I just journaled about, it's sort of a dichotomy of feelings, because one of the saddest things besides not having her around is that we didn't get to say goodbye to her. And that was really hard on her brothers. They wouldn't look for her. The sheriff's department wouldn't put a missing persons out, even though we begged them. And they didn't find her for so long that by the time they did, we weren't allowed to see her. And they don't know what day she died. And the other part of me thinks I'm glad I don't have that date, because we call it drop down on our knees grateful at our house, and we call them Kenna-cent moments that we get from her instead of heaven sent or Kenna-cent. And that I'm grateful, like you said, I'm so grateful for the time I had with her. She was gang raped when she was 17, and she tried once back then, and then after the trial she tried once again. And we thought then it was just a cry for help, and that's what it was going to stop at. The hardest part for me was to accept that the guilt that you say you feel as a mother, it was going to happen no matter what. Once it was in her soul that was the only way she could be at peace. It was going to happen no matter what we did. And that's been the hardest thing, because as a mom, you never let that guilt go. And I've had to come to peace with some of that she is at peace, and I have to respect that and honor that. None of us are, but you know, I'm grateful she's not in pain anymore. And I remember people saying to me after her rape, it must be a mother's worst nightmare. And I always said, no, losing her would be. And she would say to me, yeah, but Mom, it would have been easier for me if I had died. So that pain, it's like you said, that playing over and over in her head. She said, you don't know what I saw when I go to sleep at night, and you don't know what's still there when I wake up. And I don't. I never would have. So